Thank you very much for the opportunity of doing this, because I swear I'd never get anything done if I didn't have it to focus my attention. Okay, just looking at the title of my thesis, or my research work. Enabling practitioners to be in their element, exploring the art of possibility in their educational practice through the enlightened eye and I. And actually, I've incorporated the literature review in that because in their element refers to Ken Robinson, who actually has a whole literature written about the creativity and people being in their element. I'll talk a little bit about that later. The art of possibility refers to Zanders and Zanders and the whole idea of anything being possible. The enlightened eye is reference to, I was about to say Jeff Whitehead, but I won't, Elliot Eisner, and then the I being the living theory, I. And how am I inspiring creativity and visual literacy in higher level education to change work-based practice? Now, in order for me to hook, or to get a hook even for today, to want to even do the presentation in the first place, I had to develop a hook. Jack Coomey talks about the hook in terms of developing videos and productions. So I'm going to let you just see this now. It's quite fast, but it's the title sequence of my video. So. Well, I have to have something to sustain me just even to get through to here. Well, I suppose it's the whole idea of how can I suppose, hook my students to want to actually learn, to want to be in their element as they're learning. And I want them to see what I can see, or even for me to be able to see what they can see. So creating visuals to break down material and help them in the understanding of that. So I created a website and a group, I suppose, that were going to video linking to education. So I called it Video Link Ed Linked. So on that then, that I have used the whole idea of a triptych, where it's the sum of the parts. The picture there is 3 parts to it. But it's making up, the whole idea would be that the sum of the parts gives a holistic, the sum of the parts is about, what is this? But that actually is going to be representative of how I'm going to present my thesis. And the whole idea would be that I would have a thesis, which I will write up on as well, but that I will present it in 3 parts. And the first part will be a documentary on my context. And this context will be my own ontological perspective and where I'm coming from, what my values are, and what actually has me, thinking, or what helped me to work the way I work, and that's the first part. So that'll be the first documentary, and hopefully this then will actually help students to understand what ontological perspective is. So it'll be a resource, but also it'll actually give an understanding as to my own context, what it is. The second part then is my methodological approach, which would be action research and perhaps the living theory. I'm having a problem putting now a camera back around myself, as you can see. But the whole action research living theory approach and me in the centre of that. So when we were in Africa, we did a 3-day workshop, and both myself, Jack, and Margaret were actually given the workshop. So what I want to do is I want to make a documentary around that living theory action research approach, so that the students will be able to understand it better. So I'll actually make a documentary of the methodology, and that then this will be a resource for my students and for anybody who actually wants to use it. And also I'll be in it and giving my perspective on things. Then the third part, which is the journals, and I suppose it's the different forms of representation that we talk about in Elliot Eisner. I use journals creatively to try and encourage my students, first of all, I mean, for lots of different reasons, but I think that I see when students come to, look, even thinking about ourselves here, we're very vulnerable, whether we're at, undergraduate level, master's level, or PhD, we're very vulnerable, because it's almost that fear until you actually have it completed. What are you at, or am I doing right? So everybody likes feedback. We like feedback from everybody else in the room, or even from Jack, or for whoever it is. We like feedback to know that we're actually doing right. So for me, the journals have been, as you said yourself, Matt, they've been invaluable. So why do I use journals, which are very time consuming? So I want to tell a story. I want to do a documentary, educational style video on my use of journals, and then hopefully this will be a help to practitioners, to the students themselves, when they know that they have to do them in the future. Why are these any good? Why are they good for other people? And also the various different ways I'll document, there's evidence in those journals as to how I'm using assignments, and I can pick the evidence from the various different students of what they've been doing through the course of the journey of the 2 years. So that's more or less the way I'm going to actually present my work. As I said, it'll be a visual narrative of my own ontological perspective. As most of you, some of you may know, I would have been a music teacher for 15 years, and I would have been very much involved in musical productions and productions of all sorts. For me, it was very important that I created a safe environment, and I value that whole creating a safe environment so that students can learn and they can feel that it doesn't matter if they make a fool of themselves, that they will actually learn in the process, that they're safe in that. However, and I've very much brought that into the third level education, I hope. Evidence shows that I have, in terms of the journals, they've been a great source of rich evidence to show that, and to show many other themes as well. And I'll look at that in a second. So how am I living my values? Well, even in the process of actually doing this presentation, I realised that I have to be creative in order for me to feel alive, I suppose, and to be able to give that to others. Because if you're constantly being drawn on all the time, as many people in this room, you're giving all the time. So it's how do you replenish that energy that is sometimes when you give it away, you have to actually build it up again. So I suppose for me it's music. It's actually getting the time to do things like even just creating. I haven't created, I think, a video in I don't know how long, but yet I'm telling the students how to do it, because I just literally haven't got time, because I'm so busy giving feedback and be there for others. So like that, I think it was somebody was saying about the whole idea, I think it was Matt, I feel a cobbler never mends his own shoes, and it's a bit like that. You have to take time to do that, to take time for yourself to do that, which I haven't done quite, I still struggle with yet. And I know that in order for it to be sustainable, for me to be even to exist next year, or for any of us, it's to be able to have that time to be creative for me. Okay. At the very beginning, I see every single assessment or assignment that the students do as being building blocks towards a thesis. The assignments, they have to be fun, if it's possible for assignments to be fun, if it's possible for learning, well, it is possible for learning to be fun, but sometimes assignments. So the whole idea is that I have to have a purpose that they enjoy, that they actually forget what they're being so creative that they forget the pain of what they're doing because they want to actually do what they're doing well. So I try to create assignments that are enjoyable and that they actually feel proud of at the end. I suppose in many ways, just to encourage people to think outside the box, that they can get around things rather than always, like last week, and I'll tell you, we had an animation day and we were caught because the cameras didn't actually work with the software. So how do we get around that? And we did very well. And in fact, in the process, the animations were far better because we ended up doing them without the I Can Animate software and just literally using still photographs. And that's exactly how it's done. Wallace and Gromit, they don't use any of the other animation, they actually use still photographs. So I learned that. The different forms of creativity, how am I using them? Animation, video, comic strips, podcasts, blogs, online learning journals, and interactive dissertations. That's the final. As I said, they're all building blocks. There's a reason for this. All these assignments that they can learn in the process of doing these in order to have excellence at the end. Now it's important for me that it's not just any old assignment, that they get so involved in it and that they're so much in their element doing it that they want to produce something really good. And as I said, last week was a case in point where we were working all day on an animation, on various different animations, and they didn't, because of the lighting and because of loads of different things, it didn't turn out well. But it wasn't a case of sure, look, we'll just throw our hat at it. It was like, we want to stay at this until we get it right. And some were up until 4 o'clock on Wednesday night, because they're all working in groups. Now that's probably the other extreme. But they really wanted to learn. It was just that they forgot about the time, because they enjoyed it so much. And I suppose that's what I'm trying to inspire them to want to be proud of their own work, and so they know that they can do it. And I suppose in many ways, you talk about experts, there can be experts in our company, not here now of course, but experts, we were told that they're experts, that they also realise, I like to think that they would realise that they are experts in themselves, and that the expertise doesn't have to always come from outside, that they can learn to be experts. Okay, the whole idea, a rant here, you can go back to a rant, Donal. Creativity, that in the process, they still have to learn the academic, they still have to bring in the philosophy, they still have to go about it. So how can we present this work in a way that breaks it down and makes it more understandable? So linking to, let's say, the other the more theoretical modules and presenting it in a different way. But in order to be able to present it in a comic-like form, they have to understand what the whole essence of Iran's philosophy is all about, and like that they forget. They try to they forget about the pain of going through maybe the arduous texts. They go through all that and then they break it down to build it back up again and makes it more meaningful.
And in conclusion,